3 weeks before my wedding, I found out my fiancée was sleeping with my best friend in the apartment that I pay for. And man, instead of calling it off, I decided she was gonna feel exactly what I felt in front of everyone. I'm 34 years old, and 3 years ago, I thought I had it all figured out. Beautiful girlfriend, solid career in finance, great group of friends. Sarah and I had been together for 5 years. We bought a ring together, planned this massive wedding, sent out invitations to 300 people. My boy Marcus was going to be my best man, the guy I'd known since college. My brother, everything was perfect, or so I thought. It was a Tuesday afternoon. I remember because Tuesdays were usually my longest days at the office. But that particular Tuesday, our client meeting got canceled last minute. Some emergency on their end. So instead of getting home at 9 or 10 like usual, I was pulling into my parking spot at 3 in the afternoon. I lived in a pretty nice building downtown. 2-bedroom, floor-to-ceiling windows, the whole deal. Sarah had moved in about 2 years prior. Didn't pay rent, didn't pay utilities. I covered everything. She worked part-time at some boutique, made maybe $2,000 a month. I was pulling in close to $200,000 a year, so I figured, what's mine is hers, right? We were getting married anyway. I walked up to the apartment, keys in hand, and that's why I heard it. At first, I thought maybe she was watching TV, but then I heard her laugh. That specific laugh she only did when she was really happy, and I heard a man's voice. Deep voice, familiar voice. I stood there in the hallway like an idiot, just listening. My hand was on the doorknob. I could have walked in right then, but something stopped me. Maybe I didn't want to believe what I was hearing. Maybe I was just in shock. Then I heard her say his name, Marcus, my best friend Marcus, the guy who was supposed to stand next to me at the altar in 2 weeks, the guy I'd known for 12 years. The guy I trusted with everything. I didn't go in. I just stood there, listening to my fiancée and my best friend in my own apartment, in my own bed, doing exactly what you think they were doing. I don't know how long I stood there. Could have been 5 minutes, could have been 20. Eventually, I heard them talking. Not loud enough to make out every word, but I caught pieces. And what I heard, man, that's what really did it. She was on the phone. I guess Marcus had already left or was in the bathroom or something. She was talking to someone, laughing about me. I heard her say I'm an ATM machine, basically. Called me pathetic. Sighed she couldn't wait for the wedding to be over so she could... I don't even want to repeat what she said. The guy she was talking to? It was Marcus. He'd gone into the other room to take a work call, and she'd called him right back. They were laughing at me. Together. I backed away from the door. Didn't make a sound. Took the elevator back down. Sat in my car in the parking garage for probably an hour. Just staring at nothing. You know what the crazy part was? I wasn't even that angry in that moment. I was just numb. Like my brain couldn't process what I'd just heard. The woman I was about to marry. The man who was supposed to be my best man. Together, for who knows how long. I drove around for a while. Ended up at this bar across town, had a couple drinks. Tried to think. Part of me wanted to go back, kick the door in, confront both of them right there. But another part of me, a colder part, started thinking about something else. We'd already spent $120,000 on this wedding. Venue was booked. Non-refundable. Catering was paid for. The band, the flowers, the photographer. 300 people had cleared their schedules. My family had flown in from 3 different states, and I thought, if I confront her now, she'd just cry, apologize, maybe blame me for working too much. Marcus will apologize, say it was a mistake, beg for forgiveness. They'll both make excuses. And even if I call off the wedding, they'll go on with their lives. Maybe they'll even end up together eventually, laughing about how they got away with it. That's when the idea hit me. I wasn't going to confront her. Not yet. I was going to let her think everything was fine. Let her keep planning. Let Marcus keep writing his best man speech. Let them both think they were getting away with it. And then, on the day of the wedding, in front of 300 people, in front of her family, my family, all our friends, I was going to make sure everyone knew exactly who Sarah really was. I went home that night. She was already asleep. Or pretending to be. I didn't say anything. Just got ready for bed like it was a normal night. The next morning, she kissed me goodbye. Told me she loved me. I said it back. And I meant it when I said it, in a weird way, because I loved the person I thought she was. But that person didn't exist. Over the next few days, I did something I'm not exactly proud of. I installed cameras in the apartment, small ones, hidden. I told myself I needed evidence. For what? I wasn't sure yet. Divorce? A lawsuit? Maybe just for me, so I'd know I wasn't crazy. And boy, did I get evidence. Over the next week, I recorded 4 separate occasions. Marcus coming over while I was at work. Them in my bed. Them in my living room. Them drinking my scotch, eating food I paid for, laughing about how clueless I was. I watched every single video, made copies, backed them up on 3 different drives, and then I started making calls. First call was to a lawyer. Explained the situation. She told me that since we weren't married yet, there wasn't much I could do legally about the cheating itself. But the financial stuff? The fact that Sarah had been using my credit cards without permission, racking up charges I didn't authorize? That was a different story. Second call was to a private investigator. I wanted to know everything. How long this had been going on. If there was anyone else. If Marcus had done this kind of thing before, what he found, man, that's a whole other level. But I'll get to that. Because right now, as far as Sarah and Marcus knew, everything was fine. The wedding was still on. I was still the devoted fiancé, excited to marry the love of my life, and they had no idea what was coming. While Sarah was picking out centerpieces and confirming the seating chart, I was editing videos and meeting with lawyers. Every time she said, "I love you," it was a lie. And every time I said it back, it was fuel for what I was planning. So, the private investigator I hired. His name was Dave, former cop, ran his own firm. I met him at a coffee shop 3 days after I found out. Told him everything. Showed him the videos I'd recorded. Asked him to dig into Sarah's past. And Marcus, too. Dave called me back about a week later. Said he needed to meet in person. Wouldn't tell me over the phone. That's when I knew he'd found something big. We met at his office. He had this folder, must have been 2 inches thick. Guy had been working around the clock. Sat me down, poured me a coffee, and said I should probably brace myself. First thing he told me was about Sarah's past. Turns out, her real name isn't even Sarah Mitchell. It's Sarah Castellano. She changed it legally 4 years ago. And the reason she changed it? Because she'd done this exact same thing before. 4 years ago, she married a guy named Derek Chun. Tech entrepreneur, had some startup that was doing pretty well. They dated for 8 months, got married in this big ceremony in Napa Valley. 2 months after the wedding, she cleaned out their joint account. $73,000. Just gone. Transferred it to some offshore account. Filed for divorce. Disappeared. Derek tried to press charges, but she'd covered her tracks too well. Technically, it was a joint account, so legally, she had the right to withdraw the money. He couldn't prove fraud. By the time he figured out what happened, she'd already changed her name and moved to a different state. That different state? The one I was living in. Dave had tracked down Derek, talked to him. Derek told him the whole story. Said Sarah had done the same thing with him. Played the sweet, loving girlfriend. Let him pay for everything. Then, after the wedding, when she had legal access to his money, She took it all and ran. And here's the part that made my blood run cold. Derek said Sarah had a partner, some guy who helped her run the scam. They'd done it before, multiple times. The partner would get close to the target, gain their trust, help Sarah get information, bank accounts, credit cards, passwords. Derek didn't know the partner's name, but he described him. Tall guy, athletic build, worked in finance. Marcus. I asked Dave if he'd looked into Marcus too. He nodded, slid another section of the folder across the desk. Marcus Webb, my best friend since college. The guy I'd trusted with everything. Turned out he had a history too. 3 women in the past 6 years had filed restraining orders against him. Not for violence, but for financial harassment. He dated all 3, convinced them to give him access to their money, then drained their accounts. One of them lost $40,000. Another lost her entire savings, nearly 30 grand. None of them pressed charges. He'd always pay them back just enough to make them drop it, keep them quiet. But the real kicker? Dave found evidence that Marcus and Sarah had worked together before. Not on Derek, but on someone else. A guy in Chicago, 2 years before I met Sarah. Same pattern. Sarah dates the guy. Marcus befriends him. They clean him out after a wedding. I sat there staring at these documents, trying to process it. This wasn't just cheating. This wasn't just betrayal. This was a calculated, planned operation. I was a mark, a target. They'd probably been planning this from the moment Sarah and I started getting serious. Then Dave showed me something else. Bank statements, credit card statements, all in my name. Cards I'd never opened, loans I'd never taken out. Dave had me pull my credit report. We did it right there in his office. That's when we found them. Sarah had been using my information to open accounts. My social security number, my income verification, everything. She'd racked up $47,000 in debt across 6 different cards. Cards I didn't even know existed. I felt sick, like physically sick. I had to excuse myself, went to the bathroom, just tried to breathe. When I came back, Dave asked me what I wanted to do. Said he could take all this to the police, help me file charges. But he warned me, financial fraud cases like this take years. And even if we won, I'd probably never see that money again. I told him I needed time to think. Drove home. Sarah was there, on the couch, looking at wedding magazines. Smiled at me when I walked in. Asked how my day was. I told her it was fine. She kissed me, went back to looking at flower arrangements. I went into my office, closed the door, and started making a different kind of plan. The wedding was in 11 days. Venue was booked. 300 people confirmed. I'd already spent $120,000. And yeah, it was non-refundable. But you know what? I didn't care about the money anymore. I wanted everyone to know. Her family, my family, all our friends. I wanted them to see exactly who she was, who Marcus was, what they'd been doing. So here's what I decided. I'd let the wedding happen. But right before the vows, right when the priest asked if anyone had objections, I'd stand up. And I'd show everyone everything. I called a buddy of mine who worked in audiovisual stuff for corporate events. Told him I needed a favor. Needed to set up some screens at my wedding venue. Make it look like it was part of the planned setup. Big screens, professional quality. He asked why. I told him I'd explain later, but I'd pay him $5 grand cash to do it, no questions asked. He agreed. Then I spent the next 3 days editing. Took the videos I'd recorded, blurred out the explicit parts to keep it somewhat appropriate, but left enough that anyone watching would know exactly what was happening. Added timestamps. Added the audio of Sarah on the phone calling me in a TM, calling me pathetic. I compiled the bank statements, the credit card statements, all the evidence of fraud. Made it into a presentation. Clean, professional, undeniable. I also tracked down Derek, Sarah's ex-husband. Called him, Explained who I was. He was shocked at first, then angry. Said he'd tried to warn other guys about her, but nobody believed him. I asked if he'd be willing to testify if I took this to court. He said absolutely. Everything was falling into place. 8 days before the wedding, Sarah asked me if I was nervous. We were in bed. She was curled up next to me. I told her no. I was excited. She said she couldn't wait to be my wife. Couldn't wait to start our life together. I just nodded, kissed her forehead. Said me too, but inside I was counting down. 8 days until everyone knew the truth. Then, 3 days before the wedding, something happened I didn't expect. Marcus called me. Said he needed to talk, wanted to meet for drinks. I almost said no, but then I thought, why not? Let's see what he has to say. We met at our usual spot, this bar near my place where we'd watched football games, celebrated promotions, all of that. He ordered a whiskey, looked nervous as hell. He started talking about the wedding. Said he was honored to be my best man. Said our friendship meant everything to him. And then he paused, looked down at his drink, and said he had something he needed to tell me. I could see it in his face. He was about to confess. About to come clean about him and Sarah. Part of me wanted to let him. Wanted to hear him say it. But another part of me thought, no. If he confesses now, it ruins the plan. Sarah might find out, I know. They might call off the scam, disappear before I can expose them publicly. So I cut him off. Told him whatever it was, it could wait until after the wedding. Didn't want to deal with any heavy stuff right before the big day, you know? He looked relieved. Sighed, okay. Said it wasn't that important anyway. We finished our drinks. He paid. We shook hands. He told me he'd see me at the rehearsal dinner. I went home. Sarah was asleep. I checked my phone. Saw she'd texted me earlier asking where I was. I was about to put the phone down when I saw something. Marcus's phone. He'd left it on the bar counter when he went to the bathroom earlier, and I grabbed it thinking it was mine. Same model, same case. I was going to text him to come get it, but then I saw a notification pop up. Message from Sarah. I know I shouldn't have, but I opened it. The message said, "Don't tell him anything. After the wedding, we'll handle it. Just 3 more days and we're set." Marcus had replied, "I feel bad, man. He's my best friend. Sarah, he's a paycheck. Don't get emotional now. Stick to the plan." I took a screenshot, sent it to my own phone, deleted the evidence that I'd opened the messages, put his phone back in my pocket, texted him that I grabbed his phone by accident, that I'd drop it off tomorrow. But I didn't sleep that night. Just laid there next to Sarah, watching her breathe, thinking about those messages. 3 more days. 3 more days, and they thought they'd won. Thought they'd gotten away with it. They had no idea what was coming. The wedding day arrived. Sarah looked beautiful in that $15,000 dress. Marcus was there in his tuxedo, ready to give his best man speech. 300 people waiting, and me. I was waiting for the perfect moment to end both of them. I want to walk you through that day, because man, it was surreal. I woke up that morning in a hotel room. We'd done the whole traditional thing where the bride and groom don't see each other the night before. Sarah stayed at the venue's bridal suite with her bridesmaids. I was at a hotel downtown with my groomsmen. Marcus was there. Knocked on my door at 7 in the morning with coffee and breakfast. Told me it was going to be a great day. Said he was proud to stand next to me. I looked him in the eye and said, "Thanks, brother." Meant every word. Because I was thankful. Thankful that in a few hours, everyone would know exactly what kind of person he was. We got ready. Put on our tuxes. My dad came by. Gave me this whole speech about marriage, about commitment, about trust. I just nodded along. He had no idea what was about to happen. The ceremony was scheduled for 4 in the afternoon. Outdoor venue. This beautiful garden estate about 30 minutes outside the city. We'd rented the whole place. White chairs set up in rows, flower arrangements everywhere, string lights hanging from the trees, even though it was still daylight. I got there around 2. The AV guy, my buddy who I'd paid to set up the screens, he pulled me aside. Said everything was ready. 4 massive screens positioned around the ceremony space. To everyone else, it looked like we'd set them up to display photos of me and Sarah throughout our relationship. Cute candid shots, vacation pictures, that kind of thing. But I had the remote in my jacket pocket, and I had a different slideshow ready to go. Guests started arriving around 3. I stood near the entrance with my parents, greeting people, shaking hands, accepting congratulations. Everyone was so happy, so excited. My mom was crying already, hadn't even started yet. Sarah's family showed up. Her mom, her dad, her younger sister. Her mom hugged me, told me how lucky Sarah was to have found me. Her dad shook my hand, didn't say much, just gave me this look. I didn't think much of it at the time. Marcus was working the room, being social, playing his role, the loyal best friend, the trusted confidant. I watched him laugh with my cousins, take photos with the groomsmen. He was good. I'll give him that. If I didn't know what I knew, I never would have suspected a thing. 3:30 rolled around. The wedding planner told us it was time. Everyone took their seats. 300 people settled into those white chairs, all facing the altar. The string quartet started playing. Everything was perfect. I walked out with the officiant. Stood at the altar. Marcus walked out next, stood beside me. He leaned over, whispered that I looked nervous, asked if I was okay. I told him I was perfect. Never been better. The bridesmaids walked down the aisle. Sarah's sister, her college friends, all in their matching dresses. Then the music changed. That traditional wedding march. Everyone stood up. And there she was, Sarah, walking down the aisle with her father. That dress must have cost more than some people's cars. Hair and makeup perfect. Smiling like this was the happiest day of her life. I watched her walk toward me. Watched her dad hand her off. Watched him take his seat. She took my hand, stood across from me. Looked into my eyes like she loved me more than anything in the world. The officiant started talking. Welcomed everyone. Made some jokes about love and marriage. People laughed. It was all very sweet, very traditional. He went through the usual ceremony script. Talked about the sanctity of marriage, the commitment we were making. Asked us to face each other. We did. Then he said it, the line I'd been waiting for. He asked if anyone present knew of any lawful reason why we should not be joined in marriage. Said, if so, speak now or forever hold your peace. The whole garden went silent. That's the moment, right? When everyone holds their breath, even though nobody ever actually objects. Except this time, someone did. I raised my hand. You could feel the confusion ripple through the crowd. People shifted in their seats. The officiant looked at me like he'd misheard. Sarah's face went from confused to concerned in about 2 seconds. I reached into my jacket pocket, pulled out the remote. I looked at Sarah, said I had something everyone needed to see. Said I had some concerns about this marriage, about honesty, about trust. She started to say my name, started to ask what I was doing, but I'd already pressed the button. The 4 screens came to life. First video. Security camera footage from my apartment. Date stamped. Time stamped. Sarah and Marcus walking into my bedroom. I'd edited it carefully. Blurred the explicit parts. But anyone watching knew exactly what was happening. The video was maybe 30 seconds long, but it felt like an eternity. Gasps from everywhere. Sarah's mom screamed. Screamed. Marcus tried to step toward me, but my cousin grabbed his arm, held him back. Second video. Audio recording. Sarah on the phone. Her voice, crystal clear, talking about me. Calling me an ATM. Saying I was pathetic. laughing about how easy it was to manipulate me. That one was 45 seconds. The garden erupted. People yelling. Sarah was crying now, trying to grab the remote from me. I stepped back, kept my hand up, kept pressing buttons. Third screen. Documents, bank statements, credit card statements, all showing her fraud. Accounts opened in my name. $47,000 in debt I never knew about. Each document stayed on screen long enough for people to read. Sarah was pulling at her dress, trying to run toward the AV booth to shut it down. Her bridesmaids were frozen. Didn't know what to do. Fourth screen. This one was the killer. Sarah's real name, Sarah Castellano. Her previous marriage license. Derek Chun's name right there. The divorce filing 2 months later. Then the statement from Derek about the money she'd stolen. Then Marcus's financial harassment complaints from 3 other women. People were on their feet now. Some were leaving. Some were filming on their phones. Some were just staring in shock. I looked at Marcus. He was white as a sheet. Tried to say something, tried to explain, but my groomsmen had surrounded him, weren't letting him go anywhere. Then I turned to Sarah. She was on her knees in that expensive dress, makeup running down her face, just absolutely broken. And I said the only thing I'd planned to say out loud. Looked right at her and told her she wanted a wedding, and I gave her one she'd never forget. Told her we were done. Said it loud enough that everyone heard. Then I walked off the altar. Didn't run. Didn't rush. Just walked. Down the aisle, through the rows of shocked guests, out of the garden. Behind me, I could hear chaos. People yelling. Sarah screaming. Her mother demanding answers. My mother crying, I think. Marcus trying to explain himself to anyone who'd listen. I got to the parking lot. Got in my car. Sat there for a minute, hands shaking. Not from nerves, from adrenaline. I pulled out my phone. Called my lawyer. Told her it was done. Told her to file everything first thing Monday morning. All the fraud charges. All the civil suits. Everything. She said she'd handle it. Asked if I was okay. I said I was fine. I was about to drive off when someone knocked on my window. Hard, aggressive knock. I looked up. It was Sarah's dad. I rolled down the window, expecting him to yell at me. Call me names, defend his daughter. But instead, he leaned down, looked me in the eye, and said something I never expected. He thanked me. Said he'd been trying to warn me for 6 months. Told me he'd sent emails. Didn't say how many at first, just that he'd tried. Anonymous emails from a burner account, trying to tell me about Sarah's past, about what she'd done to Derek, about Marcus. He said he'd lost count, maybe 5, maybe 7. Said every single one went to my spam folder. I never saw them. He'd watched his daughter do this before. Watched her destroy Derek. Tried to stop it then, but she threatened to cut him off completely if he interfered. So he stayed quiet. But this time, he couldn't do it. Couldn't watch another man get destroyed without trying to help. Said when I exposed her just now, in front of everyone, it was the first time in 4 years he'd felt like he could breathe. Because now everyone knew. Now she couldn't run from it. Couldn't hide. He shook my hand. Told me I did the right thing. Walked back toward the chaos. And I just sat there in my car, processing what he'd just said. 7 emails. 7 warnings. All sitting in my spam folder while I planned a wedding with a woman who was planning to rob me blind. I drove away. Left the venue. Left the 300 guests. Left Sarah crying in her wedding dress. Left Marcus trying to explain himself to people who'd never trust him again. Drove straight home. Poured myself a drink. Sat on my couch in my tuxedo and just existed. My phone started blowing up. Texts, calls, voicemails. My mom asking what happened. My brother asking if I was okay. Friends asking if what they saw was real. I turned my phone off, sat there in silence, and that's when it really hit me. What I'd just done. The nuclear option. The scorched earth approach. 300 people just watched me destroy someone in the most public way possible. And I felt nothing. Not satisfaction. Not regret. Just empty. 48 hours after the wedding, the internet exploded. Video went viral. Sarah became a meme. Marcus lost his job. And me. I found out way more people knew about this than I ever realized. So let me walk you through what happened in the days and weeks after. The Monday after the wedding, I woke up to my phone completely dead. Not the battery. I mean dead from notifications. I turned it back on Sunday night and it just didn't stop. Hundreds of messages. Missed calls. Emails. Turns out, someone at the wedding had recorded the whole thing. Not the professional videographer, obviously. That guy packed up and left the second the screens came on. But some guest in the back row had their phone out, filmed the entire exposure, every screen, every reaction. Sarah breaking down, me walking out. They posted it online. I don't even know who. Could have been anyone. Within 24 hours, it had 500,000 views. By Wednesday, it was over 4 million. People were commenting. Thousands of comments. Some calling me a hero. Some calling me cruel. Some debating whether what I did was justified. The whole thing had become this massive internet debate about cheating and revenge and public humiliation. I didn't watch it. Couldn't bring myself to. I'd lived it once. Didn't need to see it again. But the virality of it meant other things started happening. Things I hadn't anticipated. First, my lawyer called. Said Sarah's attorney had reached out. They were threatening to sue me for invasion of privacy. The cameras in the apartment? Recording without consent. Apparently, that's illegal in some situations. My lawyer laughed, told them to bring it. Said it was my apartment, my name on the lease, and I had every right to install security cameras in my own home. Plus, the recordings proved fraud, criminal fraud. We had way more on Sarah than she had on me. She filed a countersuit that same day. Fraud, identity theft, theft by deception, falsifying financial documents. We were going for everything. Then I got a call from Marcus's employer. Well, former employer, HR director, asked me to confirm the videos were real, that Marcus had been involved with my fiancée. I confirmed it. She thanked me, said they'd handle it internally. Marcus worked at a bank, financial institution. When they found out he'd been involved in fraud schemes, even if he wasn't directly charged yet, they terminated him immediately. You can't work in banking with that kind of history. His career was done. I felt, I don't know, I should have felt good about that, right? But I just felt tired. Wednesday afternoon, someone knocked on my door. I opened it expecting maybe a process server or something legal related. Instead, it was a woman I'd never seen before. Late 20s, looked exhausted, eyes all red like she'd been crying. She introduced herself as Sarah's younger sister, Jessica. I almost closed the door. Didn't want to deal with any of Sarah's family defending her. But Jessica put her hand up, said she wasn't there to yell at me. Said she needed to talk. I let her in. Made coffee. She sat on my couch and just broke down. Told me she'd known about Sarah and Marcus for 3 months. Walked in on them once at a family barbecue at Sarah's parents' house. Confronted Sarah about it privately. Sarah threatened her. Told her if she said anything to me, if she ruined the wedding, she'd make sure Jessica never saw their parents again. Would turn the whole family against her. Jessica was scared. Kept quiet. Hated herself for it. Said she almost called me a dozen times but couldn't bring herself to do it. She apologized. Over and over. Said what I did at the wedding was harsh, but Sarah deserved it. Said she hoped I could move on and find someone better. I thanked her for coming. Told her I understood. She left, and I sat there thinking about how many people knew. Marcus knew, obviously. Sarah knew. Jessica knew. Who else? Turns out, a lot of people. That evening, I was going through my emails. Decided to check my spam folder for the first time in months. Just curious about what Sarah's dad had sent. Found all 7 emails, dating back 6 months. All from the same anonymous account. The first one was vague. Just said I should look into Sarah's past before marrying her. I would have ignored it too, honestly. But they got more specific. The 4th one mentioned Derek Chun by name. The 6th one mentioned Marcus. The 7th one, sent just 2 weeks before the wedding, laid everything out. Names, dates, dollar amounts. All sitting in my spam folder. If I just checked, if I just looked. I could have avoided all of this months ago. But here's the thing that really messed me up. Thursday morning, my mom called. Asked if we could meet for lunch. Said she needed to talk to me about something. We met at this quiet restaurant. She looked nervous. Kept fidgeting with her napkin. Finally, she told me. 6 months ago, she'd been at a restaurant downtown with some friends. Saw Sarah and Marcus together. At first, she thought it was innocent. Maybe they were planning something for the wedding, a surprise for me. But then she saw them kiss. Not a friendly kiss, a real kiss. She didn't know what to do. Didn't want to believe it. Convinced herself she'd misunderstood what she saw. Figured there had to be an explanation. She'd almost told me a dozen times. But she didn't want to cause drama right before the wedding. Didn't want to risk ruining my happiness if she was wrong. So she stayed quiet. My own mother. Saw them together. Said nothing. I didn't yell. Didn't get angry. Just asked her why she was telling me now. She said because she couldn't live with the guilt anymore. Needed me to know that she was sorry. I told her it was fine. Finished my lunch. Drove home. Wasn't fine though. Every person who could have warned me, who could have stopped this before it got this far, they all chose silence. Chose to let me walk into this. And yeah, I get it. It's complicated. Nobody wants to be the bearer of bad news. Nobody wants to blow up someone's life. But man, it hurt knowing that many people saw it happening and just watched. Legal stuff moved fast. My lawyer was aggressive. We had evidence. We had witnesses. Derek, the ex-husband, flew out to meet with us. Brought his own documentation from what Sarah had done to him. Said he'd testify in court, help with the case however he could. Sarah tried to fight it at first. Her lawyer sent all these threatening letters, but my lawyer fired back harder. We had video evidence, financial records, testimonies from multiple victims. By the end of the first month, Sarah's lawyer was asking for a settlement. We said no. Marcus disappeared. Just vanished. Quit his apartment, moved out of state. I heard through mutual friends he went back to his hometown, somewhere in the Midwest. Working some call center job. Living with his parents. Good. Hope he stays there. The video kept spreading. News outlets picked it up. Local news at first, and some national stuff. I started getting interview requests. Podcasts wanting to talk about it. Some relationship expert on YouTube made a whole video analyzing the situation. I ignored all of it. Deleted social media. Just wanted it to go away, but it didn't. The story kept growing. People recognized me in public, at the grocery store, at the gym, random places. Some would congratulate me. Some would give me dirty looks. Like I was the villain. Maybe I was. I don't know anymore. 3 months after the non-wedding, I got a certified letter. Legal document. My lawyer called me before I even opened it. Sarah was claiming she was pregnant, 8 weeks along. Wanted to settle everything out of court. Drop all the charges, all the lawsuits. She'd go away quietly. All I had to do was pay her $200,000 and sign an NDA. I looked at the dates. Did the math in my head? 8 weeks would put conception at right around the wedding date. Actually, maybe a week or two before. But I hadn't touched Sarah in over a month before the wedding. The last time we'd been together was at least 6 weeks before I found out about the affair. Maybe longer. I called my lawyer, told her the timeline didn't add up. She said we'd demand a paternity test. If Sarah was really pregnant, we'd find out who the father was. Spoiler alert, it wasn't gonna be me. Sarah's lawyer went quiet after that. Never heard about the pregnancy again. Either it was a lie from the start, or it was Marcus's and she realized that card wouldn't work. Either way, confirmed what I already knew. She'd lie about anything if she thought it'd get her money. Derek ended up not having to testify in court since Sarah's lawyer pushed for settlement. But before that fell apart, we'd spent hours going over his case, comparing patterns. Guy saved me from making his same mistakes twice. The legal case dragged on for another 2 months. Finally, the judge ruled in my favor. Fraud, theft, all of it. Sarah owed me $85,000 in damages and legal fees. Collecting it was another story. She didn't have $85,000. Probably never would, but the judgment was there. On her record, permanent, Marcus never got charged criminally. Not enough evidence for the DA to move forward. But the civil suits from his other victims were piling up. Last I heard, he owed money to at least 4 different people. And me? I got my life back, I guess. Got the apartment to myself. Changed the locks. Threw out everything that reminded me of Sarah. Donated her stuff to charity. Didn't even give her a chance to pick it up. Tried to move on. But something had changed. And I was starting to realize it wasn't going to be easy to fix. So that's how the legal stuff ended. The judgment was there. Her name was ruined. Marcus disappeared. And then, life just kept going, you know? 1 year later, Sarah had lost everything. Marcus was working at some call center somewhere in Indiana. And me. I should have been happy, right? Should have felt like I won. But something changed in me that day at the altar. And I'm not sure it was for the better. Let me tell you where everyone ended up. Sarah lost the court case. Owed me $85,000 in damages and legal fees. Never saw a penny of it. She didn't have that kind of money. Still doesn't. Last I heard, she's working 2 jobs. Waitressing during the day, bartending at night. Moved back in with her parents. The same parents who watched her do this to Derek, watched her plan to do it to me. Her mom still sends me emails sometimes, apologizing, begging me to drop the financial judgment. I never respond. Marcus left town, like I said. Heard through old mutual friends that he's in some small town in Indiana, working customer service for an insurance company. Lives in his parents' basement. 36 years old, back where he started. Part of me thinks that's justice. Part of me just feels nothing about it. The wedding became this urban legend. Articles written about it. Relationship podcasts discussing it. Some YouTube channel did a whole deep dive into the psychology of public revenge. I'm apparently a case study now. People still recognize me sometimes. Less than they used to, but it happens. I'll be at a coffee shop or waiting in line somewhere, and someone will give me this look. Like they know. Like they've seen the video. Women especially. When I try to date, which I've done a few times over the past year, it always comes up. Either they've already seen it and have opinions about it, or they find out during the relationship, and it becomes this thing we have to discuss. I've tried dating 3 different women since Sarah. None of them lasted more than 2 months. First one, Emily, she thought what I did was badass. Called me her hero. Red flag right there, honestly. Anyone who thinks publicly destroying someone is heroic probably isn't someone I want to be with. We broke up when I realized she was more interested in the story than in me. Second one, Rachel, she was the opposite. Thought I was cruel. Said she understood why I was angry, but when I did was too far. We'd argue about it. She'd bring it up in random conversations. Couldn't let it go. Finally, I just ended it. Third one, I don't even remember her name. We went on maybe 4 dates. She seemed normal, seemed like she didn't know about the video. Then, on date 5, she asked me point blank if I was the guy from that wedding video. I said yeah. She said she needed time to think about whether she could date someone capable of that. Never heard from her again. So yeah, dating's been rough. But it's not just dating, it's everything. I don't trust people the way I used to. Can't. Every time someone's nice to me, every time a friend invites me somewhere, every time a coworker offers to help with something, there's this voice in my head asking what they want. What's the angle? I know that's not healthy. I know not everyone's out to get me. But after Sarah, after Marcus, after finding out how many people knew and said nothing, it's hard to believe anyone anymore. My lawyer suggested therapy. Said I should talk to someone about processing everything. I went twice. Both times, I sat in this office with this woman who kept asking me how I felt. Kept trying to get me to open up about my emotions. I didn't go back. Wasn't for me. Maybe it helped some people. I don't know. But sitting there talking about my feelings wasn't gonna change what happened. Wasn't gonna make me trust people again. What helped more was the gym. I started going every day, sometimes twice a day. Lifting heavy, running until I couldn't think anymore. That worked better than therapy ever did. I lost friends over this too. Not people who sided with Sarah or Marcus, but people who thought what I did was wrong. Thought I should have handled it privately. Thought the public humiliation was too much. My cousin David stopped talking to me. Said embarrassed the whole family. Said there were 300 people at that wedding, and now everyone thinks our family is dramatic and vindictive. Haven't spoken to him since. But I also gained friends. Guys who respected what I did. Thought it took guts. Thought Sarah and Marcus deserved exactly what they got. New gym buddy, couple guys from work, they all know the story. They get it. So I don't know. Lost some, gained some. Came out even, I guess. About a year and a half after the wedding that never was, I was at the grocery store, just doing normal shopping, grabbing stuff for dinner. Turned down the cereal aisle, and there she was, Sarah. I almost didn't recognize her. She'd lost weight, a lot of weight. Her hair was different, shorter, darker. No makeup, wearing old jeans and a hoodie that looked like it had been through the wash 1,000 times. She was just standing there looking at boxes of cereal. Hadn't seen me yet. I could have left. Could have backed up, gone to a different aisle, avoided the whole thing. But I didn't. I just stood there. She turned, reached for something on the shelf, and that's when she saw me. The look on her face, I'll never forget it. Pure terror, like she'd seen a ghost. She didn't say anything. Didn't try to talk to me. Just grabbed her cart, turned around, and walked away. Fast, almost running. I watched her go. Watched her rush to the checkout, pay for whatever she had, leave the store. And I felt nothing, not satisfaction, not anger, not even pity. Just empty. I thought seeing her broken like that would make me feel like I'd won, like justice had been served. But it didn't. It just made me tired. Because the thing is, Sarah's life is ruined. Marcus's life is ruined. But mine? It's not great either. I got my revenge. I exposed them. Made sure the whole world knew what they did. But I can't trust anyone. Can't maintain a relationship. Spend half my time wondering if people are using me. The other half at the gym trying not to think about any of it. Was it worth it? I don't know. Did Sarah deserve what happened to her? Yeah, absolutely. She's a con artist. A liar. She tried to steal from me. Tried to destroy my life. Marcus too. They both deserved to be exposed. But did I have the right to do it that way? In front of 300 people? Turning it into a viral spectacle that they'll never escape from? I think about that a lot. Late at night when I can't sleep. When I'm scrolling through my phone and I see the video pop up again because someone shared it in some new context. I destroyed her, publicly, permanently. And yeah, she tried to destroy me first. But does that make it right? Sometimes I think I should have just called off the wedding quietly, broken up with her, pressed charges if I wanted to, let the legal system handle it, moved on with my life. But I didn't. I chose the nuclear option, chose to make an example out of her. And now I wake up some mornings and wonder, am I the villain in my own story? The guy who couldn't let it go, who had to make it public, who had to make sure she suffered the way I suffered. I guess that's the price of revenge. You get what you want, but you also get everything that comes with it. The attention, the judgment, the constant reminder that you were capable of something that harsh. I don't regret exposing her. She needed to be stopped. Other guys needed to know what she was. But I do think about what kind of person I became in that process. The cold, calculating guy who could smile and pretend for 2 weeks while planning someone's complete destruction. That's not who I thought I was, but it's who I needed to be. And now I can't really go back. So yeah, Sarah lost everything. Marcus lost everything. And I got my revenge. But I lost something too. Just not sure exactly what it was. Trust, maybe. Innocence. The ability to believe people are good. Whatever it was, it's gone now, and I don't think I'm getting it back. So here's what I'm left with. A viral video that'll follow me forever. An apartment that feels too empty. A gym membership I use way too much. And a lot of questions I don't have answers to. Was I the asshole? Did I take it too far? Should I have just walked away and let karma handle it? I genuinely don't know. Some days I think I did exactly what I needed to do. Other days I think I became just as bad as they were. Just in a different way. Looking back now, man, the red flags were everywhere. She never wanted to talk about her past. Changed the subject whenever I asked about old relationships. Didn't have any friends from before she moved to my city. Changed her phone password the week after we got engaged. Her family? I didn't meet them until we'd been together for 3 years. All of it was right there. I just didn't want to see it. I didn't want to believe the person I loved could be lying to me. Trust your instincts, brother. Always. If something feels off, it probably is. Don't ignore it like I did. Don't wait until you're 2 weeks from a wedding to figure out the truth. And hey, tell me where you're listening from right now. What time is it there? I'm curious how far this story's gone, you know? If you've been through something like this, been betrayed by someone you trusted, or maybe you got your revenge, or maybe you just walked away, drop your story in the comments. You might be the next anonymous man telling his story on this channel. Take care of yourselves out there, brothers. Protect your heart. Protect your wallet. And don't ignore the signs when someone shows you who they really are. Stay strong.